Prediction time, UFC 136. Here we go. Start at the bottom, work our way up. Steve Cantwell, Mike Macenzio. Steve Cantwell's debut at 185 pounds. Macenzio's return, I believe, to 185 pounds after going up to fight Krzysztof Szymanski. Just let me double check that. Yes, he fought Szymanski and more or less got destroyed. Macenzio's a good wrestler with good submission skills, but his stand-up leaves something to be desired. Cantwell is a good stand-up guy with good submissions and good wrestling. I think, and a lot of this depends on how well Cantwell handled the 185-pound cut, which I guess we'll see at the weigh-ins. But assuming he had an okay time with the cut, Macenzio is, well, he is a very good wrestler. I think Cantwell's stand-up should be able to keep him somewhat at bay, and additionally just be able to work him a little bit there. Could Macenzio pull off the old lay and pray? Maybe, but that's the only way I think I see him winning this fight, whereas I think I could see Cantwell getting top position. I can also see Cantwell outstriking him, and in fact, I definitely see him outstriking Macenzio, because Macenzio's stand-up is a huge hole in his game. I'm going with Steve Cantwell via unanimous decision. I think this fight looks a little bit like Szymanski versus Macenzio. And that's kind of how I think it'll go. Aaron Simpson, Eric Schaefer. This was, of course, originally supposed to be Nick Gatone versus Aaron Simpson, which was a fight I was kind of looking forward to, even though I'm not a huge Nick Gatone fan. Eric Schaefer, good ground game. Okay technical stand-up, but not the greatest defense. Okay wrestling. Aaron Simpson, really good wrestler, really good chin, very tough, good cardio, okay hands, okay ground game, and I think the huge wrestling advantage, I think it'll be enough. I mean, no one's submitted Aaron Simpson in the past. I mean, admittedly, he's not faced, stunningly amazing grappling competition, but the only two guys who've given him really a troublesome fight are guys like the two guys that have beat him, obviously, and Chris Lieben, which is heavy hands, and Mark Munoz, who out wrestled him, also has heavy hands. Tom Lawler gave him a heck of a fight, but aside from that, he's had a really easy time. He's kind of looking like something like the Mario Miranda fight he had, where his wrestling advantage, I think, will allow him to keep the standing when he wants to keep standing, take him down when he wants to take him down. I don't see Schaefer being able to submit him from bottom, although Schaefer is probably the best grappler he has fought. But I'm going with Aaron Simpson. Unanimous decision, although a TKO wouldn't surprise me for Aaron Simpson. Zhang T. Quan versus Darren Elkins. Zhang T. Quan, he's beaten who I guess he is supposed to beat. Darren Elkins, though, is very one-dimensional, very much seems to just be a wrestler. And it worked for Danny Downs, and that's why I'm kind of tempted to go with Elkins here. But I think the fact that Quan keeps up a good pace, that he attacks with submissions quite frequently, that he works pretty well off of his all-around on the ground, I see him probably submitting Elkins, who doesn't seem to keep up the pace very well. Late second, early third round submission for the Mongolian Wolf. Moving on to actually something I'm somewhat excited to see Stipe Miocic fight in the UFC. I'm less excited due to the fact that he's fighting Joey Beltran. He has a pretty good striking background, although if you watch him, it's more of for a heavyweight, I'm very fast and I have heavy hands sort of thing, versus a technical approach to stand up. He's a very good wrestler, NCAA level 1 wrestler. Joey Beltran is a surprisingly good wrestler. People don't think about it because he's just a brawler, because he doesn't use it offensively. He uses it very defensively. We see it in the Aaron Rosa fight, for example, where he's just very hard to take down. The thing is, Miocic's not been out of the first round at MMA. He's going to go out of the first round here, because I don't think Beltran gets finished in the first round. I'm taking Miocic by unanimous decision, but his cardio is a bit of a question mark. The other thing is, if he does lose this fight to Beltran, I think it horribly hurts his career. And this is why I like it so much, because there's no no real reward for him because no one really particularly ranks Joey Beltran as even a UFC level heavyweight, to be honest. And if he beats Beltran, I don't think it earns him a lot of props. But I think he will. Unanimous decision, be a hanging in there on the feet, and hopefully getting this fight to the ground at some point. After that, we go to the spike card, which is awesome. Jeremy Stephens versus Anthony Pettis. Just a side note, would it not be sweet if Anthony Pettis did the Matrix kick and got uppercut from hell? The Tiger uppercut from Stephens while he's doing it, and it resulted in a knockout. Would that not be awesome? That being said, I think when you break it down, I think Pettis is the better stand-up guy. I don't think he has the power that Stephens has, but I think he's faster. I think he's more technical. He comes from a better striking-wise camp with the Rufus Sport guys. I think he's also a better wrestler because we've seen in the past that Stephens is defensive wrestling, anyways, is really not very good. We're also aware that he's more of a brawler than anything else. Mind you, I said a lot of these same things when he fought Sam Stout. I thought Stout would just outstrike him. But I see Pettis being able to outstrike him. I see Pettis being able to take him down if he starts to have a problem. And I see him being able to avoid submissions on the ground. In conclusion, I have Anthony Pettis. He could finish him and it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm going to go with a unanimous decision. Demian Maia versus George Santiago. George is a better striker, but does not have a very good chin. I think Maia is the better wrestler. Santiago has not shown a lot of ability to stop takedowns if you mix them with strikes, which Maia, in the Munoz fight, showed that he could do, and somewhat in the Miranda fight. I think Maia takes him down, but their BJJ kind of almost cancels each other out, even though Maia is a better ground guy. I don't think he's good enough to submit Santiago, and I don't think he really has the power to TKO him on the ground. So I'm taking Demian Maia by unanimous decision in what should be a pretty good fight, though. A very enjoyable fight, I think. If you're, someone who's willing to give a ground fight a bit of a chance, because I see a lot of transitions. I see some sweep attempts here. I see action on the ground, basically. Leonard Garcia, Nam Pham, the rematch. I don't see it being terribly different than the first one, to be honest. And I see Nam Pham taking a decision. I think Nam is the more technical striker these days because Leonard Garcia seems to get less and less technical every time he fights. He doesn't really utilize his wrestling or his ground game all that well. He does have heavy, heavy hands, but he fights just like a complete brawler who has a BJJ background. And even that kind of failed him with Chan Sung Jung, getting him caught in the twister. Yeah, I gotta go with Nam Pham here. Garcia has been gifted with judges throughout his career, so you never know, because I don't think Nam Pham can finish him. He's got a very good chin. He is pretty hard to submit, despite the fact that he got twisted. But I'm taking Nam Pham probably to win a unanimous decision here. He should win a unanimous decision. Moving on to Joe Lauzon versus Melvin Guillard. Not really sure why this fight is happening, to be honest. Melvin Guillard is calling for a title shot and is somewhat legitimately on the rise. He's, of course, on a 5-fight winning streak, beating Hannes Torres, beating Waylon Lowe, beating Jeremy Stephens, beating Evan Dunham, beating Shane Roller. These are all pretty good wins. Joe Lauzon is coming off a win over Kurt Warburton, but Joe Lauzon hasn't looked good outside of a first round in some time. We saw it with the Soteropoulos fight. We saw him kind of die off in the Sam Stout fight as well. And I think that not being on a winning streak, it's surprising they put this fight together. These two guys are very explosive in the first round, though, so look for a hell of a first round. But I think Guillard, despite the fact that Lauzon's better on the ground, Guillard's not a bad wrestler. Guillard, I think, can keep the standing. We've seen Lauzon struggle to take down people in the past. Lauzon's hands are good, but I think Guillard is faster and most definitely more explosive and powerful. And I think that's going to be the key. I'm taking Melvin Guillard via a TKO in the second round over Joe Lauzon. Chael Sonnen versus Brian Stann. obviously cheering for Brian Stann because I really don't like Chael Sonnen. And even though I am somewhat interested to see Anderson Silva Chael Sonnen 2, which is a sort of a number one contender fight. I am rooting for Stan. That being said, while Stan is a much better boxer, he has in the past shown problems with good wrestlers and takedowns. You can see it in the fights with Mike Macenzio. You can see it in the fight with Krzysztof Szynski. You can see it a little bit in the fights he lost to Steve Cantwell. Pardon me. You see it in the Phil Davis fight, although that's lesser. Phil Davis is a stud wrestler. So that's just unfair to really expect him to stop his takedowns. But despite the fact that he is a very quick striker, very good counterpuncher, I just see Sonnen being able to take him down. And he has submissions from his back, and we all know Chael Sonnen's had problems with that in the past. But the promise of being able to fight Anderson Silva, if he wins this fight, I think will keep Sonnen going. I think will motivate Sonnen. I think Sonnen, via what Chael Sonnen does, and a unanimous decision. Jose Aldo, Kenny Florian. You got to go with Aldo, I think, in this one. Florian did not look great in the Nunez fight when cutting down to 145, and he does look like he is a little bit drawn in. Very much looked like he had a hard time making the weight. The cardio didn't seem to be a problem, but he didn't push the same kind of pace we're used to seeing Kenny Florian push. I think he realizes that his cardio at 145 isn't as good, I think, in a nutshell. I think Aldo's got the better stand-up. I think Aldo's got the better wrestling. I think on the ground, Florian might be better, but I think Aldo can avoid the ground. That being said, if this is the Aldo that fought Mark Hominick, had a really, really hard time making weight, that's going to be a problem. I'm going with Aldo, though, I'm going to be bold and say TKO Kenny Florian in the third round. I'm going to be bold with that. If Kenny wins, it's not a surprise, particularly if Aldo looks terrible. This is one that I think will be almost decided at the weigh-ins more than anything else. Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard. I picked Gray Maynard in the first fight, picked Gray Maynard in the second fight. I'm going to surprise people by picking Frankie Edgar in this fight by unanimous decision. Why? Maynard, couldn't finish Edgar after one of the most disastrous first rounds of a title fight that made it to the end of the round for Frankie Edgar. And I think with that mental advantage, Frankie Edgar is going to be ready. I think his speed is starting to play in. I think the fact that Maynard wasn't able to destroy him in the wrestling in their second fight bodes very well for him, because I think he's a better stand-up guy, although Maynard has the power advantage. And if he can keep it standing and even put Maynard on his back a couple times, I think he wins this fight. I really do. I think it's a close fight. Both of these title fights could see a title change, but I'm taking both champions to retain their titles. That is all. Enjoy the fights, because this card, if it's not good, I don't know what happened in the world of MMA. Anyways, that's all.